So the guys are finishing up finals right now, and it's always an interesting month during the season when school gets out, and we've got another week and a half or so of basketball. Hold on a second. Just got something in my throat. So we think we're in good shape academically, getting through finals and letting the guys kind of work hard to finish up what they started. We got a couple guys that got a chance to graduate mid-semester. I think that's Janai Broom, Cheney Johnson, and even possibly Denver being done mid-semester and having that graduate patch on their uniform. Marlene, double check that for me. Just Janie and Janai. Okay. So we're really excited about that, and getting on to Ohio State. Ohio State's one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. I got something caught here. I don't even know what it is. And well, they got four guards that shoot it at a really, really high percentage. Bruce Thornton is big and strong and physical. A guard as will play all year long. Michi Johnson, we've seen a lot of because he's been at South Carolina, and we know what an incredible shooter he is, a downhill scorer. They've got a couple other guys that are shooting at a very, very, very high percentage. The kid John Mobley is a freshman, shooting it really well. And then Parrish is shooting it great. So I'll put four guys on the floor, and at least three of them at the same time. That when they can see it, they can make it. So we're going to have to obviously extend defensively like everybody else. We have a slight advantage inside in size. The Kentucky transfer played earlier this season for them, and right now, we don't know what his status is as far as whether he plays or not. Obviously, he's 7'1" and would be a great rim protector if he's able to come back and play. And then it's our fifth trip to Atlanta, where we've had great crowds, and so I hear so often from so many different people that thank you, that they can't get tickets to Neville Arena. And truly, our next three games are opportunities for our fans to get in to see us play. And here in Atlanta, there are still tickets available. And what a great time to be in the city of Atlanta on a Saturday afternoon around the Christmas time to get some shopping done, so on and so forth. So I encourage our fans to go to Atlanta to watch us play on Saturday afternoon against Ohio State. And then we've got a home game against Georgia State with our students being gone. So my guess is they will be having some tickets for sale for that game. And even adults can sit in the jungle and act like students again, and be able to get really as good a location as you're ever going to get to watch an Auburn basketball team play because our students are gone. And so I encourage our fans to go online and find out what the status is for our game next Tuesday against Georgia State. And then there are still some tickets available up in Birmingham, even though both Atlanta and Birmingham are going to have great crowds. So for our fans, for Christmas, come out and watch our team play.
Bruce, when you face a team like Ohio State that shoots as well as they do from deep, obviously the Memphis game, y'all ran them off the line really well. Just what's the key to trying to take that away from a team that clearly wants to, shoot as much as they do because they shoot such a great percentage?
Well, there's a lot of things that you've got to do, but you've got to make this team beat you from two, not from three. And so we'll do the things that we need to try to do defensively. They're really good in transition. They're really good in transition ball screens. And so, we have to do a good job offensively of not turning the ball over and giving them transition opportunities where there's going to have some better spacing and we won't have all of our bodies back. So we got to do a great job of getting back in transition and guarding their ball screen offense. Coach Diamond is doing a great job. He's a young coach. I knew him well as an assistant coach, and obviously taking over with about 11 games left to go in Ohio State season a year ago. Did a great job, good enough job where they made him the head coach. And, they've beaten Texas already, and they lost at the buzzer to Pittsburgh, which was a tough loss, but their Ken Palm is 20. And so this is a top 20 opponent for us on Saturday on a neutral site.
BP, I was going to ask, with the early game Sunday, and then with all the travel you did, early game Sunday, and now kind of a week, did you have any chance to sort of maybe take a step back and self-assess that little 2-week stretch where everything was kind of crazy before these next few games?
I mean, we didn't a lot. We took Monday off, and then Tuesday was a very heavy shooting practice and offensive review practice, but short, about an hour and a half. Last night we went for an hour. We had about a half-hour film and about an hour on the floor. So we've had 2 really short practices given its finals week. And again, it's a long year. As far as just assessing where we were, our defense has been really good with the exception of the Duke game. We did, a lot of it had to do with our opponent, but we didn't bother Duke with our defense, and we've been able to bother every other opponent. And the only game we lost was the game that our defense didn't dominate the game.
Miles Kelly's shooting close to 50% from 3 this year, way up from last year. You mentioned at the beginning of the season how, different his role might be here. What did, from your perspective, what's kind of opened things up for him this season?
Well, I think that the fact that, when he was at Georgia Tech, he was option 1 and 2. And here he's one of our top options. But because there are other guys you've got to cover, he's getting, you can't put your best defender on everybody, whether it's Chad Baker or Todd Pettifor or Denver Jones, pick your poison. And so the fact that he's playing with better players, and he's not the focal point of every scouting report. Now, look, they all know he's better from 3 than 2, so they're going to do everything they can to run him off the line. But we've got some good guys we get him open with some good action, and he's been able to make open shots. I think the other thing too is at Georgia Tech he played 34, 35 minutes a game, and not as fresh to be able to work without the ball. Set screens, get screens. He's able to work harder offensively because he's playing fewer minutes because he's on a better team with greater depth. So he's able to play better, which is what's going to happen to him at the next level,
Demmer was in here earlier, and Hoke asked him about, going from being a 20-point scorer at FIU to being this two-way, combo guard here. And he said, all I want to do is win a national championship, scoring will take care of itself. Just how much have you seen him kind of make that transition and kind of embrace that role, as a defender first?
Well, I think that, look, you may not notice him as much in the stat sheet, but every coach and every scout notices him as one of the best defensive guards in the country. Now, that's something that he's done himself. That's just a real commitment that he made. He started last year, and it's continued on this year. And then by asking him to play some point guard and playing 2 positions, he's got to be really locked into what we're doing and really paying attention because that's hard to play both positions. It also takes a little bit away from some of his scoring when last year he always played off the ball, and off the ball he should be thinking about scoring. Now he's playing, let's say, 15 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game at point guard, where he's thinking about setting the offense and coming off the ball and distributing and doing some other things. Well, you could still be a scoring point guard. Just can't let doing the little things ever get away from him. And as long as the guys, continue to play hard and play unselfishly, and some nights it's going to be, especially with the guards, it's not going to be the same guy every night. And that's what makes us a good team.
Bruce, how has Ja'Kai responded after his performance last weekend? And do you feel like this is an opportunity for him to sort of solidify a spot in the rotation this weekend?
Yeah, no, I think he got his rotation spot back, and I don't mind explaining this. You know, Ja'Kai only really suffered a 2 or 3 game, let's just say a 3 game, where he wasn't playing, and then he was in good standing for sure, and he handled it really, really well, and handled it maturely. But then we go to Maui, and he had very few repetitions. And so my job is to put players in position to be successful, to put them out there to be successful. And I just didn't feel like that going to Maui and then to Cameron Indoor Stadium, that he'd be put in a position to be successful, having missed all those repetitions, all those games, all those practices, where he just wasn't getting any reps. And so we were committed to bringing him back after Duke and going, all right, we're going to get him ready for Richmond. And he is now back in the rotation. So I think it's a good point for me to make, in the sense that, you know, that the result of what happened was way unfortunate for both Ja'Kai and for Yaheem, because it just set them back at a time of the year when we were getting started. And then we had to go figure out how to win without him. But now Ja'Kai's back in the rotation. You can see what he can do. Obviously, he plays really hard. His motor runs. He's very athletic. Again, like all new players, like every player new in the program, Tahad or Miles or JP or Ja'Kai or Yaheem, any of our new guys, Miles, defending. That's the hardest thing to do. That's the hardest thing to learn, is how we defend, how we communicate. And that's an area of improvement. You ask someone, what do you need to improve on? Our new guys need to continue to be improving and defend more physically and communicate better. And I think we should, if we can get growth in that area, then we'll continue to get better as a team.
Last question.
I think Janai's second on the team in assist rate. Can you just kind of talk about what that brings to y'all's offense when you have such a really good center that can distribute like that?
Well, both he and Dylan have got as good a assist turnover ratio as any centers in the country, and obviously they're both unselfish, but they both have got good enough skills to be able to play make and make really good passes, and it's a skill that's something that you have to work on. They get doubled a lot. Janai gets doubled a lot. And so you got to pick your poison. Richmond chose to double him every time he touched it. And he just kicked it out. We rotated the ball, and we got open shots, and we made them. Ohio State could double again. They could try to play him one-on-one and decide to, mix it up a little bit, probably, with what I guess what we'll get. And just got to take what the defense gives you. But when, against Richmond, we have 23 assists and 33 buckets. It starts with senior leadership. It starts with guys, being willing to, not worry about their numbers, just worry about the score.